Okay, so continuing our work in section B of the 2020 Edexcel ACE level unit 2 IT past paper. So over here we come to a big question over here, okay, where we are supposed to design an HTML web page using CSS as well. Okay, so over here you can see Love London Tours needs a web page, a wireframe, style guide, and some initial code have been provided. The initial code can be found in q04.html. Okay, so let's go and open that up. Okay, so over here I have my folder. I go into question 4. Over here I have the assets that I will be using for my web page. Okay, so let's open this up. And when I open it up, this is the initial, this is what I see. I see a blank white web screen over here. Okay, let me open this in Sublime Text as well. Okay, so let's bring this over here to Sublime Text, drag and drop. Okay, there we go. And over here, this is all the code that has been given to me. Okay, so you can see only the head has some meta tags over here. The body tag has not even been created. Okay, so right, we'll get started. Okay, so a mockup in PDF format can be found in the assets folder. Okay, so in the assets folder, there is a mockup of this web page as well. So let me open that over here. And you can see this is the mockup of the web page. It gives you a better view of what the web page should look like. Okay. So moving on. Over here, what we do next is, so over here, they have given you the width of the web page. It needs to be 900 pixels. So here, this is the text. This is the logo needs to be here. Button, Love London Tours. Okay, so this is what we call the wireframe. Over here, the wireframe is given. And here, over here, we have the style guide. Okay, overall page requirements. And yeah, so we also need to have a CSS file. Let me go ahead and create the CSS file now itself. Okay, so I'm going to say file, new file, and I'm going to save this in my same folder. I'm going to save it as Q04 finished, Q04 finished .css. Okay, so this is my CSS file, and I'm immediately going to embed that particular CSS file into my HTML document. Okay, so I'm going to open up a link tag. Okay, open up link. Okay, and href is going to be Q04 finished .css. Okay, so that's also linked over here. Okay, so I have linked my CSS file over here. So moving on to the first part. Okay, so the first part that we are going to do is, let's do this top area, which we would call the header area. Okay, so this is the header area. Let's get this created. And you can see the width of the header area is going to be 900 pixels. Let's get that done first. Okay, so I'm going to come over here. I'm going to open up the body tag, open up body. Okay, and open body, close body. And the first thing that I'm going to do inside the body tag, the first thing inside the body tag, so I'm going to open up the header. Okay, so I'm going to have my header here, open header, close. And inside the header, let me zoom in. Inside the header, I'm going to create a div tag. Okay, I'm going to create a div box. Okay, so that I have space to insert the content. Okay, so over here, I'm going to open a div tag, and I'm going to call this div tag my header area. I'm going to give it an ID, which is going to be equal to header area. Okay, right. Now I'm going to go immediately into my CSS file. And now, why did I use header? If you come over here, it says you need to use HTML5 elements to define the different parts of the web page. Now in HTML5, we have different parts such as header, content, aside, article, navigation, footer. We have different parts. So we need to try and use those parts as much as possible when creating our web page. So what I would be doing is, I would consider this as my header area. I would consider this as my content area, and I would consider this as my footer area. So I'm using 3 elements from HTML5 web page parts. Okay, right. Then I also, you can see over here, the entire web page needs to use an Arial font style, needs to use an external style sheet. Now the external style sheet part I have already done. You saw me linking it, right? You saw over here, I came and linked it over here. I came and linked it to an external style sheet. So that particular part is done. So how about I put a text next to it saying done? Okay, this is done. Okay, and I'm going to do the Arial font style. So the entire web page needs to have an Arial font style, which is why I'm going to refer to the body tag. Refer to the body tag, and I'm going to say font family. Sorry, font family. is going to be Arial. Okay, so save it. Now this change has also been done. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say this is also done. Okay, right. The first one I'm still working on. Okay, now the next thing I need to tell over here is I need to set the width. Okay, so I'm going to come and set the width over here. So I'm going to come and refer to the div tag of the header area. Okay, so I'm going to say hashtag because I'm referring to an ID. Header area, the header area, the width is going to be equal to 900 pixels. Okay, also, one more thing is I'm going to be placing objects inside this header area, and I'm going to be moving these objects based on the position of this header area, which is why this header area needs to have a position of relative. Okay, if you're confused, just listen carefully over here. For now, I'm going to have a position of relative for this header. Relative means it's going to follow the flow of my web page. Right now, this is the first element, which means it's going to start at this particular point. Let me show it to you on my web page. On my web page, it's going to start at this particular point because I have said relative. Relative means follow the flow of my web page. Okay, so right now the content is supposed to appear at this point. So when I say relative, I mean start from the web page flow point. It is from here. Okay, I'll tell you why I put relative a little later on. Also, I'll tell you there's another reason also that I have selected relative. But for now, remember, I want to follow the flow of the web page, which is why I have put relative, which means start from this particular point, because normally content is supposed to start from here. So I'm going to put a relative over here. Okay, so I'm going to add one more property over here, position, and I'm going to say the position is going to be relative. Okay, right. What do we need next then? Next is you can see inside this, the logo is also supposed to appear. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my file. Okay, and inside the header area, I'm going to open up another div area. Okay, I'm going to open up another div tag, and this is going to be equal to my logo area. Okay, I'm giving it an ID called logo area, right? And inside this, let's not forget to close it. Okay, and inside this particular area, I'm going to insert the logo. Okay, so I'm going to say image. I'm going to use the image tag src. So src is where is my logo? My logo is in the assets folder. Inside the assets folder, and it's called logo dot, and it's a JPG file. Logo.jpg. So over here, I'm going to say slash logo.jpg. Okay, so let's come and see if the logo loads up. Okay, so when I can close this, I don't need this anymore. When I come and load, you can see the logo has loaded. However, the logo is way too big. Okay, the logo is way too big. Let's now follow the web page, the what do you call the style guide for the size of the logo. So when I go into my HTML document over here, it says that the logo needs to be 80 pixels wide. Okay, needs to be 80 pixels wide. So let me come over here. Let me come to my CSS style sheet. And over here, I'm going to refer to my image. I'm going to give an ID for my image. I'm going to give an ID as well. I'm going to say the ID of this image is going to be equal to logo. Okay, I'll just call it logo itself. Now I'm going to come to my CSS file. I'm going to refer to the logo. And I'm going to say over here, width is supposed to be 80 pixels only. Okay, it's supposed to be only 80 pixels. Sorry, I made a mistake here. Okay, right. Now let's have a look at this web page over here. Change didn't get saved. Let me save both HTML and my CSS file. Okay, so the logo has been made a lot smaller now. It's only 80 pixels. Looks good. Okay, now the next thing is you can see over here, they have also told us, if you look at the style part, they have also told we should use paddings and or margins when required. Okay, so what do paddings mean? The gap between the text and the border is what we call padding. Okay, so I'm going to put a padding. I don't know how much. Okay, so in the header area, I'm going to put a padding. Let me start off with, for example, about 10 pixel, and we'll see how it looks. Okay, so I'm going to put a 10 pixel padding. Let's see how this looks. Okay, that looks all right. Okay, you can see there's a gap between the logo and the border of 10 pixels. Okay, that looks good. Then the next thing that we do need over here is we need this text "Love London Tours" needs to appear. Okay, so now I'm going to open up another div tag. Okay, I'm going to open another div tag inside my headers div tag for the text "Love London Tours." Okay, so if you look carefully over here, what I'm going to do is, now my image area is done. Now below this, I'm going to open another div tag. Okay, let's come to the end of this. I'm going to open another div tag, and I'm going to give this div tag an ID so I can refer to it. And the ID of this div tag is going to be, what shall I say, love text. Okay, let's call it the love text. Okay, love London tours. This particular text is what I'm referring to. Okay, and over here, I'm going to have the text. What's the text going to say? Love London tours. Love London tours. Okay, right. Now I'm going to come and refer to it. Okay, now I'm going to come and refer to the love text. So I'm going to say love text over here. Have I put the capital letter over here? I have put a capital letter. Okay. Now this love text over here, I need to, I need to move it. Okay. Now, let me sort this out slowly by slowly. Okay. Now this love text, let me first show you how it looks without any positioning. Let me show you how it looks without any positioning. It appears over here. I need it to appear somewhere over here. Okay, somewhere over here, I need to apply it. I need to appear somewhere over here. So what I need to happen, or what needs to happen right now is, right now Love London Tours is inside a div tag. Okay, and that div tag is called love text. And love text is inside another div tag, which is called header. And this header area has a position of relative. Okay, which means it will start from this particular point over here on the web page. Now for Love London Tours, I'm going to give a position of absolute. Absolute means I'm going to move it based on this point. Can you see where my cursor is? Based on this point, I'm going to move this text. That is possible because I'm going to give a position of absolute for this text. I hope you are following with me. Okay. So look what I do now. For love text, I'm going to give a position of absolute. Okay. And what I'm going to do right now is, I'm going to hold on for a second. I'm going to just change things for a second. I'll explain to you what needs to be done. It would make a lot more sense if you can see the background color over here. You can see this blue background. It would be a lot easier for you to follow my work. So why don't I go and insert this blue background so that you can see things moving this way, that way. Okay, because the text is going to become white. And if the background is also white, it will be difficult for me to show you what I'm doing. So I'm just going to jump into making this header area background color blue. Okay. So when I come into the question paper over here in the question paper, they have told me the header's background needs to have a background color of midnight blue, and the code has also been given to me. So I'm going to come over here, header area. Over here, I'm going to choose background color, hashtag, and it needs to be 191970, 191970. So that is also done. Okay. So logo we have inserted, so we can put this done over here. This is done. This is also done. Okay. Now we are working on this particular area. This is also done. Let me see if it works. Okay. Let's come and refresh our web page and see if it works. It works. Okay. Now we are going to move this text somewhere over here. So I have given a position of absolute. No, since I have given a position of absolute, I can now move it based on this particular point onwards. Okay. Fine. So let's do that. So I want to move it now. First of all, let's get the font sizes and all done. It will be easier for us. Okay. So the font size needs to be 30 pixels. Okay. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to say over here, the font size needs to be 30 pixels. That is done. Okay. So we have done this part. Okay. The font size, I have made it 30 pixels. Okay. This is also done. Okay. And the font color, it needs to be white. I'm going to do this also. I'm putting done now itself, but I'm going to do it. So over here, I'm going to say font color, or just color, color. And over here, they have given me F. Okay. So that's also done. And next, what do we need? It needs to be bold and italic. Okay. So font weight. Okay. Font weight needs to be bold, and font style, it needs to be italic. Okay, that's also done. Okay, let's go and have a look at our web page. You can see over here it is white color. Now I'm going to start moving it. Okay, so I need to move it away from the left point. Okay, so how much I don't know. I'm going to put different values and see how it works. Okay, so from the left, I'm going to keep, for example, a space of now this entire area is 900 pixels now. This is 900 pixels. So maybe I don't know, halfway point about 450 pixels. 450 pixels from the left. Okay, keep a gap of 450 pixels. So it has come somewhere over here. And then from the top, I don't want any gap at the top. Okay, based on our mockup, if we have a look, there is a very small gap. That is the padding actually. Okay, so we'll say top 0, no gap from the top. Okay, top 0 pixel. Okay, and let's see how this looks now. So when I come and refresh, you can see it has appeared over here. Let's increase it from 0 to maybe, I don't know, 5 pixel, because there is a small gap which I thought padding would cover but hasn't. So let's make it 15 pixel and let's see how it looks now. Okay, that looks better. Okay, right, that is also done. Okay, so you can see this part is also done. Now the next thing that we do need is, let's come back to our question paper. So what else do we have done this also? This has also been done. Okay, right. Then the next part that we do need is do need the button to appear. We do need a button. So this is also done over here. I'm going to say done. Okay, right. Before we move, let's go in the order of this. So next is we need the text exciting historical tours of London, which is supposed to appear over here. So I'm going to open up another div tag. Okay, I'm going to open up another div tag to insert all this text. Okay, so let's go into my HTML file and I'm going to insert another div tag. Okay, and over here, what do I call this? I'm going to call this ID is equal to header text. Okay, let me call it header text. Okay, right. And inside this, I'm going to have multiple paragraphs. Okay, exciting historical tours of London. I'll call it paragraph tag. Exciting historical tours of London. Tours of London. Okay, and I'm going to have an ID for this paragraph because I may have to, what do you call, style it later on in CSS. So I'll give it a unique ID. The ID I'll give is exciting text. Okay, then I'm going to have another paragraph. And over here, what is the text we insert here? 100% of our customers would recommend us. 100% of our customers would recommend us. Okay, and I'm going to have an ID of, I can't put 100% here because it's a number. I'll just say customers text. Okay, customers text. And then I'm going to have another paragraph over here. This paragraph is going to say Buckingham Palace, Tower of London. Let's get this down. Buckingham Palace, Tower of London. And what do we have next? Big Ben, Westminster Abbey, Big Ben, Westminster. Then and many more tours, and many more tours. Okay, right. And I'm going to have an ID for this, which will be tours text. Tours text. Okay, right. Now over here, what we do know over here is I'm going to refer to the header text. I'm going to say header text. And this particular text, once again, my position is going to be absolute. Okay, why absolute? Because I'm going to be moving, let's come back to this area. I'm going to be moving this text based on this position. So this header already has a position of relative. Now, based on this relative position, I'm going to be moving this text, which is why it needs to have a position of absolute. So you can move it based on the relative position of the header. Okay. Right. So now let's get this sorted out. So now let's go into our. So over here, what have they told us over here? They have told us the font size for his exciting historical tours needs to be size 35. So let me get this sorted out. Okay, I'm gonna get this sorted out. Okay, so I'm gonna call it exciting text. Okay, and exciting text, it's gonna have a font size of 30 pixels. Okay, sorry, 35 pixels, and the font color is white. Okay, 35, and the font color. Okay, so I'm going to say color is going to be equal to double F, double F, double F. So that is also done. Oh, sorry, my bad. Okay, then we move on to the next text, which is customer text. Customer text. Okay, I hope, is it customer or customers? It's customers text. Okay, so customers text. And this too, there's going to be a font size and there's going to be a color. Let me just copy and paste these two. So the font size is going to be, so this is done. This is also done. This is also done. Okay. So this is also done. We have inserted the text. It needs to be 25 pixels. I'm going to do it and I'm going to make it white. Okay, so 25 pixels. Let's come here and make it 25. That's done. Then next, what do we need to do? This is done. We have inserted this text. Now font size needs to be 18. So I'm going to copy and paste this. Okay, so it's going to be called tours text. Tours. Okay, let me ensure I got the spellings correct. Tours text. Font size needs to be 18 pixel. The color is the same. Okay, so done. Done. Okay, all three are done. Okay, so let's come and refresh our web page. Okay, let's first save both the CSS file and the HTML file. I have saved both. Now I'm going to come and refresh my web page, and you can see the text is there, but it's not visible because the background is white. This is also white, and the height of my header is not big enough to accommodate all of them. So I need to increase the height of my header area. How much, I don't know. I'm going to put different values and see. Okay, so let's come to the header area, which is over here. And let's take height, and I don't know, let's make it 400 pixels and let's see how it looks. 400 seems to be a little too much. Let's make it 300. Okay, 300 might be, I think, enough. Yeah, 300 is more than enough. And if I look at the mockup, it's pretty much close. Okay, right. So this is also done. Let's go back into our question paper, and we have marked everything that we have done. Okay, so now we need to do the sign in button. Okay. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to create a sign in button. So I'm going to create another div tag just for the sign in button. Okay. So let's go into our HTML file. And what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to open another div tag. And the ID of this div tag is going to be sign in area. Okay. I'll just say sign in area. Okay. And inside this, I'm going to have a button. Okay, I'm going to have a button, and in this button, I'm going to say sign in. That's the text I'm going to display. Let me check the mockup just to be sure. So it says sign in like this. Okay, right, that's done. Then let's go into our style guide and see what needs to happen. So the sign in button is there. Done. Font size needs to be 18. Okay, the font size needs to be 18. So for this button, I'm going to have an ID that says sign in button. Sign in button. Okay. Now I'm going to go into my CSS file. I'm going to go into CSS and I'm going to refer to both this and this. Okay. So let's first start with sign in area. Sign in area. Okay. For now, all that I know is the position is going to be absolute because I want to move it based on the position of the header. Okay. And the sign in button, for that, what do I know? The font size needs to be 18. Okay. So I'm going to say font size. It has to be 18 pixels. That is done. Next, what do we have? The font color needs to be white, double F, double F, double F. Okay, so let's do that. So color, it needs to be double F, double F, double F. That is also done. The background color needs to be Firebrick, which is B222222. Okay, so I'm going to change the background color to hashtag B222222. Okay, that's also done. Why don't I put done over here? Done. This is also done. This is also done. Okay. And it should be hyperlinked to signin_form.html. So that we need to do in HTML. So let's save our work over here. And over here, I'm going to open the anchor tag because I want to create a hyperlink. So anchor tag href is basically the address that I want to send it to. Okay, the address I want it to go is sign in. Sorry, what was the address? Sign in underscore form. Sign in underscore form dot html. That is done. Okay, and then do not forget to close your anchor tag. Okay, anchor tag is closed. Okay, let's have a look at the button. So when I refresh it, the button is appearing right over here. Okay, it's appearing right over here. And do remember, we need to move it all the way over here. Okay, and the hyperlink is also working. You can see it's going into sign in form.html, so it's working. I need to move it somewhere over here. So for sure, I need to push it from the left. Okay, so I do not know. This itself, I think we gave 450 pixels from the left. So this would be at least 500 pixels from the left. Let's try it out. Okay, so let's come here, the sign in area from the left, at least, I don't know, we'll try and see, at least 500 pixels from the left. Let's come and refresh it. Okay, not enough. I think maybe 700 pixels like. Let's try 700 pixels from the left. Still not enough. Let's make it 800. 800 seems to be okay, or we'll make it 750. Save it, and we come and refresh it. That looks okay. Now I need to take it to the top. So from the top, for Love London Tours, I kept a top gap of, I think, how much should I keep at the top? I kept 15 pixels. So I'll keep the same for this as well. Top 15 pixel. Okay, so that's also done. And let's refresh it. And you can see it's perfectly in line with Love London Tours. Okay, it's perfectly in line with that. Okay, and that's done too. Okay, so this particular button is also done. Where is it? It's over here. It's also done. Okay, so all of them have been done. Let's just have a look at the mockup. Okay, so we have the mockup over here. Everything seems to be going all right. Okay. So with this, we have now come to the end of our header area. The header is now done. Now we're going to move on to the content area. Okay, as you can see over here, we have our content area to work on now. Okay, so I'm going to first create, since we're using HTML5 elements, the header is done now. Let's bring this up. Okay, the header area is done. Now we are going to move on to the content area. So I'm going to open the content tag. And like I did in the header, I'm going to open another div tag. Okay, and I'm going to call this ID is going to be content area. And this content area, just like the header area, is going to have a position of relative so that I can put objects inside it with a position of absolute. Okay, and I can move it then. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to immediately do that. I'm going to refer to the content area. And I'm going to say, and I'm going to say over here, the content area is going to have a position of relative. Okay, let's save it. And what else do we know? What else do we know? The next thing we do know about the content area. Let's come one by one. The content area needs to have a background color of ADD8E6. ADD86. So let's do that as well. Background color, hashtag ADD8E6. So that's also done. Okay, then the columns needs to come into place. We will start working on that. Okay, so for now, you wouldn't notice any much of a difference on your web page because there's no content in the content area for it to display anything. Okay, but once we start inserting content, you will be able to see the content area as well. Now, one thing that I just remembered over here is, if you do remember, in the header area, we had a padding of, how much of a padding did we have? We had a padding of 10 pixels. I would recommend we have the same thing over there as well. And also one more thing, the width needs to remain at 900 pixels. Okay, 900 pixel width as well. Okay, so that's sorted. Now we need to start inserting two columns. Okay, so we'll start off with the first column, and the first column is to do with the tour guides. Okay, so I'm going to create a new text box for this. Okay, I'm going to create a new text box inside the content area. I'm going to create a new div tag, and I'm going to call this tour guide area. Okay, so ID is going to be equal to tour guide area. Okay, and inside this tour guide area, let me also refer to it in CSS. Let me save my work here. Let's go and immediately refer to it. Tour guide area. Okay, and this is definitely going to have a position of absolute because I'm going to move it based on the position of the content area. Okay, and for now what we do know is this tour guide area, it needs to be shared inside this 900 pixel area now. You can see there's a small gap as well. Okay, so if you take 450 then there'll be no gap. So how about we make this 430, we make this 430 so that there's space for a small gap. Okay, so let's make this 430. We may have to change it later on, I don't know. For now we'll just make it 430 in width. Okay, so this tour guide area is going to have a width is going to be equal to 430 pixels. Okay, right. Now what is the first thing we have inside this tour guide area? We have an image. So I'm going to open the image tag, and the address of this image, remember it's inside the assets folder, and the name of the image is tourguide.jpg. Okay, so assets folder / tourguide.jpg. Okay, if you do check your folder inside assets, you do have something called tour guide over here. Assets folder, we do have tour guide over here. Right, that is also sorted. Then what do we have next? Okay, then we need to have the tour guide text appearing thereafter, but let me just have a look at the web page and see how it looks. Okay, so you can see the image has appeared over here. We have a problem with the height of the content area. We will deal with that later. Okay, or for now we can just give a random value. Okay, and we can modify it later. So why don't we come over here and the height of the content area, I don't know, let's just give a value of, I don't know, 600 pixels maybe. Okay, maybe we might increase it, we might decrease it, it depends. Okay, so right, this is also done. Now moving on to our question paper with regard to the tour guide text, we'll come to it. You can see over here it says set the background color to white smoke, which is F5 F5 F5. Okay, so I'm going to do that right now. Okay, the tour guide area, the background color is going to be, I forgot the color, F5 F5 F5. Okay, so hashtag F5 F5 F5. Okay, that's also done. Then next, what do we have? So let's put done over here. Once we finish both the columns, let's put done. Otherwise, we might miss out on something. So we need to get the text, and the text can be found in the assets folder. So in the assets folder, you have the tour guide text. So I'm going to just copy this, Control C. I'm going to come into my HTML file, and below the image, I'm just going to paste it. I'm going to dump it over there. Right. And then with regard to the font size, do we have anything? The font should be 14 pixels. It should be just 14 pixels. Okay. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say font size. I want it to be 14 pixels. Okay. Is there anything else I need to keep in mind? Okay. So once I finish the second column, I'll put done for all these. Let's go and have a look at how our web page looks. So there is a problem over here, our image tag. So I think better we open up a paragraph here, otherwise it's appearing next to the tag image because there is some space apparently. So better we open up a paragraph tag for the text. Okay, so let's come over here. And I think it'll be better if you can open up a paragraph tag. So it goes to the next line, doesn't come next to the image. Right, there you go. Or we could even open a BR tag, even that's possible. Let me show you both. Okay, this works. You can see the text starts in the next line, or instead of putting paragraph, you could just simply put BR, which means break. Okay, so it goes to the next line. Even that is possible. Okay, so both work. Okay, both ways are fine. So that's done. The text has been inserted. The first column is basically done. Okay, our first column is done. We now need to move into our next column. Okay, we need to move into our next column. So justify, we forgot to justify the text, isn't it? So let's justify the text as well. So over here, align, which is text align, I think it is text align, where is it? text align justify. Okay, so now let's come and refresh our web page. You can see our text has been aligned. I think better we have some padding as well for this box as well. So let's come over here. We have already put 10 pixel padding. This is in the content area. To a guide area, also maybe it'll be a good idea if you can have about 10 pixel padding. Let's have a look. That seems a lot better. Okay, so now we need to have our next column over here. We need to have the next column placed over here. So let's get started on that. And what are we going to call that particular column? Okay, so the next column is going to be called the food area, food text area, or food area, we'll say. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to come back into my question. Now, be careful with your tags. This food column also needs to appear inside content area. Okay, so be careful. Now, tour guide area is done. Okay, now below this, I'm going to open another div tag. And the ID for this div tag is going to be food area. Okay, right. And inside this area, let me immediately go and refer it in the CSS file. So food area, let me get the same properties as the tour guide area. Okay, let's get the same properties. Control C, Control V. So absolute width is 430 pixels, the same background color, the same font color, same text align, same padding. Okay, right. Now what we do need over here is we need to insert the image. Okay, and the image is going to be in the assets folder, and it's called food.jpg if I'm not mistaken. Let me check my assets folder. Yes, it is called food.jpg. So that's done. And below this, there is some text that needs to be inserted, but we will deal with that shortly. So let's come and refresh our web page. And you can see there's a problem here. This particular text has appeared right over here. So we need to move this away from the left. Okay, from the left, we need to move it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come to the CSS file, and for the food area, we are going to keep a gap from the left of about 450 pixel gap we are going to keep. So let's see how it looks now. Okay, so 450 does not seem to be enough. Let's make it 480. Let's refresh this, 480, and it's going outside. So we have to keep it to 470. 470 is also not enough. 460. 460 and it's touching, so 455. 55 is also not enough. 458 maybe. Not enough. 460. 460 is also not enough, so we maybe have to make it 465. Okay, 465 seems to be okay. There's a gap here, there's a gap here. So that's okay. 465 seems to be enough. Okay, now right below this image, I need to insert some text. Okay, so if you come to the mockup, if you have a look at the mockup, you can see this is the text. You have a good choice of food for lunch. So I'm going to insert a paragraph over here. Okay, I'm going to insert a paragraph, and or you could even just type the text. Okay, you can just type the text. You have a good choice of food for lunch. Okay, so let's come over here and say you have a good choice of food for lunch. Okay, and then I'm going to have a break there. Okay, because I want the table to appear thereafter. After this also, I'm going to have a break. Okay, right, let's have a look at how it looks. Let's come and refresh it. So you have your text over here. And below this, I need the table to appear. So I'm going to open up my table tag now. Okay. So I'm going to come here, table. Okay. And inside the table, I'm going to first have a table row. So open table row, close table row. And the first row, if you look at the mockup carefully, you can see the first row are headings. Okay, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to say table TH, which means table heading. Okay, and it's going to say menu, and the next column, table heading, okay, is going to say menu item. new item. And then I'm going to move on to the next row. Okay, tr open, tr close. Now I'm going to enter normal data into my table, okay, column wise. So we say td, okay, and the first thing that we have, you can see over here is 1, okay, then fish and chips. So 1, and then we have td, which is going to be fish and chips, and then we close td. Okay, now I'm just going to copy and paste the row, Control C, Control V. So the second one is going to be vegetable curry. So 2, I'm going to say over here, vegetable curry. Then again, I'm going to copy and paste. And over here, it's going to be 3, mince and dumplings. 3, mince and dumplings. Okay. Then I'm going to have 4. Row number 4 is going to be house salad. Okay. 4. I'm going to say house salad. So that's done. Okay. Let's have a look at the output. So you can see it has appeared over here, but right now the table doesn't have any border, doesn't have any, what do you call it? It doesn't look anything like the mockup. Okay. So we're going to work on that right now. We're going to work on that. Let's go into the style guide and let's work on it. Okay. So the first thing is now this background part is done. 2 columns is done. We have inserted columns. There is no problem there. With regard to the background color, done. Images, text, done. Okay. Font size to 14 pixels. That we need to do right now over here. Did we do it? Let's come over here. So food area also I have made it 14 pixels, not a problem. That's also done. You can say done over here. Justify the text, that too is done. Okay. Format the table, set the text alignment to center. So now I'm going to refer to my table. Okay. I'm going to refer to my table in CSS. Okay. And I'm going to say table. And over here, text align is going to be center. Okay, let's have a look at it. So when I come and refresh my web page, you can see everything is now center aligned. Okay. Set the border color to gray. So the entire table needs to have a border. Okay, so I'm going to say, I'm going to open another one because I want the table headings, and the table data. All 3 of them, I want them to have border. Okay, I want them to have a border, and it should be 1 pixel. Should be a 1 pixel border, and the border color is going to be, what color is it going to be? 404040. So hashtag 404040. So that's also done. Let's come and refresh our web page, and for some reason it does not want px solid. Okay, let's come and refresh it now. Okay, now it's having, but you can see there are gaps between the borders. We call this border. We want the gaps to be collapsed. We want there to be a border collapse. So I'm going to say border collapse. I want them collapsed. Okay, so border collapse. I want them to be collapsed. Okay, let's remove this hashtag. So now you can see it's perfect. Okay, so this is done. This is done. The background color of the first row should be gray. The first row is the table heading. So table heading, I'm going to call only the table heading now. Only th background color should be hashtag 404040. So that's, sorry, not dollar, hashtag. Okay, that's done too. Let's come and refresh our web page. That is done too. And next, what do we have? The font color of the first row should be white. Okay, we're going to do that too right now. So that's a table heading. The first row is a table heading. Color has to be hashtag #FFFF. Okay. Okay, so now let's come and refresh our web page. And you can see this has become white color as well. And below the table, You can see below the table also there is some text in the mockup. If you look carefully, you can see it says, simply let your tour guide know your choice. So I'm going to insert that text as well. Come to my HTML file. And below the table, I'm going to have some text which says, simply let your tour guide know your choice. Okay, so now we'll come and refresh our web page. And you can see you have your text right below there. Okay, so then what is remaining? What's remaining over here? You can see that is also done. Okay, so what do we have next? All done over here. The columns are done. This is done, 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 done. So now we come into the footer area. Now, before we do go into the footer area, you can very clearly see that this height is way too much. Let's reduce the height. Okay, let's reduce this height from over here. So right now, I don't remember how much we gave it. We gave it a height of content. Where is the content? The content over here is content area, I remember. It's having a height of 600 pixels. For now, we'll just make it 400 pixels. Save it, refresh it. So 400 doesn't seem to be enough. We'll make it 450. Save it, refresh it. 450 seems to be more than enough. And right below this, I'm going to insert the footer. Okay. So I'm going to go back into HTML. Okay. I'm done with the content. Okay. I'm going to go down and I'm going to open a new tag. And because I'm using HTML5 elements, I'm going to open up my footer area now. And in my footer, I'm going to open up a div tag. Okay. And I'm going to call this, like the previous ones, I'm going to call this my footer area. And inside this footer area, let me first go and refer to it in CSS. Okay. Footer area. And over here, once again, position. Now I've taken something new. So I'm going to say position is relative now. Okay. Right. And what do we know about the footer area? It needs to have the text copyright Love London Tours 2020. So let me insert that over here. Copyright Love London Tours 2020. That has been inserted. Next, it says font size should be 16 pixels, which I'm going to do right now. And by the way, the width needs to be 900 pixels anyway. Okay, if you look carefully over here, it anyway needs to be 900 pixels. Okay, that we need to do. So I'm going to do that right now. Width is 900 pixels. And the next thing that we were going to do is the font size needs to be 16. Font size 16 pixels. The next thing is font color should be white. Okay, so we're going to come here and say color, and we want it to be hashtag #FFFF. Background color has to be Firebrick, which is B222222. So background color B222222. Okay, that's done too. And I think with that, we should be, I think I haven't saved my HTML file. Save it here, come and refresh. Yes, with that. So what we missed is we missed padding. Padding over here. Let's go and get the padding sorted out. Okay, so just like the header and the content area, we put a padding of 20 pixels if I was correct. Okay, we come over here. We had a padding of 10 pixels, my bad. Padding of 10 pixels. Let's get that sorted. And now you should have a perfect web page. Okay, perfectly as required by your mockup. You can see very much similar. Okay, so with that, is there anything else that you think we need to be looking at? I hope I have not missed anything. Okay, I have done everything over here as well. This is done. This is done. This is done. Okay, done. Okay, all of these are done. Okay, and if I come over here, I have used padding whenever needed. Okay, style sheet, and I have also used HTML5 elements. So with this, I have come to the end of this question as well. Okay, so it's worth, how many marks is it worth? It's worth 20 marks. Okay, it does take some time. It's quite messy. Okay, but I would recommend you, please don't just watch it. Please do try and practice it along with me. Okay. So now let's move on to the next question then. Okay, so we move on to the next question over here, which is the goal of search engine optimization is to improve the ranking of a web page on search engines. The web page you created in question 4 is not fully optimized for a high ranking, definitely. Okay, So analyze your prototype to identify aspects that you are already optimized and make recommendation for changes that would improve the ranking of the web page. So basically, they're asking us over here, what can be done? What are the changes that I would recommend to make the web page that would optimize it for SEO? SEO is search engine optimization. Search engines can discover my web page. And there are two things. One is I need to make recommendations, and I have to also identify aspects that are already optimized, things that have already been done that are friendly for a search engine to discover, or a search engine can discover my web page because I have already included these components. Okay, so it's a 9-mark question. That's quite a lot of marks. Let me just tell you what I can think from over here. So the first thing I can talk about is the fact that I have used HTML5 elements. So I have very clearly, identified the header of my web page, the content area of my web page, and the footer of my web page. This is very easy for a for a search engine to understand the parts of your web page, because you have clearly identified without just using a div tag. I have actually used the header, and a search engine can understand what a header means. It knows it's the top part of a web page. A search engine can understand what content is. It knows the middle part of the web page where most of the content is placed. Okay, and it also knows what footer is. This is the bottom part of the web page. I mention those parts. Okay, so I can start off with that. Okay, so let me get my answer over here. You can say, in my web page, I have used HTML5. So let's use the correct word that they used. What was the word that they used over here? Elements to define different parts of the web page. Okay, so I can say over here, I have used HTML5 elements to define different parts of my web page, such as the header, so header, comma, content, and footer. Okay, this makes it easy for a search engine to identify the parts of my web page. Okay, now apart from this, I don't think that there is anything else that makes my web page SEO friendly, because I haven't used heading ones, I haven't used heading twos, I have just used just plain text is what I have used. However, there is one more thing, which is a hyperlink. Okay, so it is recommended to have internal links in your web page. I hope you know what internal links are. Internal links are links in your web page that takes the user to another page that is a part of your website. Okay, it doesn't take the user outside the web page. Okay, there are internal links, external links, both are recommended. But now I can talk about internal links. Okay, so sign in is an internal link. It's a link that takes the user to another web page, but that web page is a part of my website. Is it clear? So let me also talk about that. I can also say further, I have also included internal links, okay, that would take the user to another web page that is a part of the same website. Okay, that is a part of the same website. Okay, now I think in terms of things that I have already done to make it optimized, I think that's it. Now I'm going to make some recommendations. So for example, one recommendation that I must talk is about including meta tags. Meta tags that talk about the description of the web page, because right now you can see my meta tags are all blank. Okay, even though sorry, we do have meta tags. I'm so sorry, we missed out on this. We can talk about this. Okay, so we already do have meta tags. I completely missed out on this. Okay, so we do have meta tags. One is talking about the character set that is being used. Another one is giving a description. Oh my goodness, we should talk about this. Okay, so I can go on to say also. So we can also say also meta tags such as description of the web page. Okay, keywords of the content in the web page. Okay, keywords of the content in the web page and the character set, sorry, let's erase this, and the character set used in my web page have been included under metadata, and this data is extremely useful, okay, for a, sorry, let's take the next line, for a search engine in order to discover my web page. Okay, right. So in terms of things that are already optimized, I have mentioned 3 points. That's good. So around 6 marks I have already achieved because I mentioned and I explained it. I have also given examples. So let me mention at least another 2 things that I would recommend to do to this web page. So one thing I would recommend is to include more links, more hyperlinks, okay? And more hyperlinks as in external hyperlinks, okay? So it's very important, for search engines, when they look for a web page, they don't want a web page which is only going to keep the user on the web page. They want web pages to be connected to each other. So it should have a mixture of internal links as well as external links, right? Allows the user to navigate, to move from a web page to another web page. They shouldn't be just stuck in one web page. Okay, so internal link, we have one, which is at all enough. You need to have a lot more, but at least we do have one, but we don't have any external links taking the user from our website to another website. So we don't have that. Let's talk about that over here. Okay, I would highly recommend, oh, what happened here? Okay. Oh, I just got stuck for a moment. Please bear with me. Okay, I'm going to start typing from here. I would highly recommend including external links in my web page, as search engines give reference to web pages that include external links. Okay. One more thing that I would also include to make my web page SEO optimized is what else do you think we could include? Maybe alternate text for the images, describing what the images are. That could also be one more thing. Okay, so let's talk about that. Okay, and I would also, and finally, I would recommend having alternate text that describes the images on the web page, so that search engines can discover this web page based on the description of images. Okay. One more thing also I would mention over here is, let's check over here. They have mentioned keywords. No, they have mentioned keywords over here. Now, are these keywords in our web page content? We need to check. So for example, tours of London, best tour guides, do we have those words over here? We do not have those words over here. Best tour guides, another one which says London best tour guides. So you can see in our description, our keywords are not present. Okay, it is very important that the keywords in our meta keywords must also be present in our description. Then it has a higher chance of a search engine discovering us. We have, I hope you get my point. We have a problem here. The keywords that we have presented over here and the keywords that are there in our description are not the same. They have to be the same. Okay, the keywords that you mention in your meta description and the keywords that you use in your description, they should be pretty much same. Okay, then there is a higher chance of a search engine discovering your web page. Okay, because the keywords you have mentioned, these are important words of the web page. These are what the web page is about. But those words are not there in your description. Not good. That's the problem. Okay, so I'm going to end with that particular point. I'm going to say over here, finally. Okay, I'm going to have two finalies. Okay, finally, my web page should have similar words in its description to the keywords that were mentioned in the in the meta keywords. Okay, so this is how I would write my answer. Okay, I hope you're okay with it. Okay, this is what I would say. So at the top, I have said what I have already done or what has already been done, and then at the bottom, I have given my recommendations. Okay, so with that, we have then come to the end of question number 5 as well. Okay, so if you move on to the next one, next is what we have. So over here we have question 5 is done, and now we come to question number 6, and I think this is our last question. Yes, this is our last question over here. So let's get started, and this is to do with JavaScript. Okay, so this is to do with JavaScript. Love London Tours wants to improve the functionality of its website. The website needs a new member page that will allow visitors to sign up for newsletters, a search page that will be used to find tour guides and their tour locations. Okay, so all of the required files are supplied in the question 6 folder. Okay, so do go and check your folder. You do have question 6 over here. And inside this, these are the files that you have. Okay, so you need to work with these files. Let me minimize this. Okay, so no additional resources are required. You only need to add HTML, JavaScript, and comments to the existing files. So new member page, new member.html contains an early prototype. Complete the prototype to allow new member registration. I just remembered one thing that we didn't do in question number 4, which is we didn't save this as required. We need to save this as Q04 finish.html. I forgot to do that. I'm going to do that right now. So save as Q04 finished.html. Okay, so that's also done. With that, question 4 is completely done. Okay, this is anyway saved as finished. Okay, so that's now I'm going to open up the new member.html page. So new member.html, let me open up in Google Chrome. You can see there is a form over here. Let me also open it up in Sublime Text. So over here, I have it in Sublime Text. It's open over here. Right. Now let's come back to our question paper. What does it tell us to do? Complete the prototype to allow new member registrations. When the save button is clicked, an automated method must ensure that a last name has been input. So this is a presence check. We need to have a presence check for last name. The age input is at least 18. Okay, so we need to check if we need to have what we call a range check. Suitable error messages for invalid data will be displayed on the page. A message to say member details have been saved will be displayed on the page, and member details will be displayed on the page. Okay, so over here they have shown you what needs to happen. So once the data is entered and the user clicks on save, it should say member details have been saved, and then first name, last name, age, gender should automatically appear below. However, if there is a problem, say for example, last name has not been entered, that message needs to come here saying you have not entered a last name. If the age is below 18, message should come here saying you are underage. Okay, right. So you must add suitable comments to your code to explain how it works. Save your file as new member finish.html. This is a separate over here. Right. So let's get started over here. So let's come over here. Let's first have a look at the HTML part. So the HTML part, you can see the body is over here. Heading is there, new member registration. The form has been created and the form has a name called registration. Then you have a legend that says enter personal information. The legend is this. Okay. And then you have your input fields. So for the first name, we have an ID of first name. Then we have last name, and this is the last name input field, which has an ID of last name. Okay, then we have a label for age. Then we have the age field, which has an ID of age. Then we have a drop down menu. So you can see select, and this entire drop down menu is having an ID of gender. And inside it has two values, male or female. Okay. Right. And then you have your submit button, and this button has an ID of save button. Now let's go into JavaScript. Now you can see when the user clicks on, when the user, what do you call, clicks on the submit button or the save button, when the user clicks on this button over here, when the user clicks on the save button over here, event that is called is onClick. OnClick event is called, and the event handler is the save function. Now let's go and see how save works. Okay, so when onClick is done, save function is called. Over here we have the save function. In the save function, right now variable first name is equal to nothing, last name is equal to nothing, age is equal to 0, gender is equal to nothing, message is equal to nothing, valid is equal to true. There is one more thing that I missed out on telling you, is that below this form, there is a paragraph with an ID of save message. And right now this paragraph is not displaying anything. So this paragraph appears right below our save button, which means that this paragraph, this particular paragraph is going to be used to display these details. Member details have been saved and first name, last name. Okay, so we need to use this particular paragraph to display the details or the error message. Okay. Right, so let's get started over here. Over here, it says values input on the form stored in the variables. Okay, so variable first name, what do you call, variable first name is now, it was initially equal to nothing. Now it is equal to whatever the user enters over here. Can you see ID first name, document.get element by ID first name. So whatever the user inputs in the input field of ID first name is equal to variable first name. Whatever the user inputs in the input field of ID last name is going to be equal to last name, and so on. Age is equal to age, gender is equal to gender. Now the first thing I need to do is I need to check whether the last name has been filled. Okay, so I'm going to use an if function now to check whether the last name has been filled. So right below this, I'm going to insert my code. You can see this is all a part of the save function. Okay, you can see it's opening here, it's ending here. Okay, so we're all inside the function state. Now I'm going to open an if statement. I'm going to say if this variable, which is last name, if last name is equal to nothing, that means the user hasn't typed anything, then display. So I'm going to open parentheses to give a message. So I want it to be displayed in this paragraph over here. Now this paragraph's ID is save message. So I'm going to call this paragraph document dot get element by ID, and that ID is what we call save message. Okay, save message. It's in HTML, meaning it's going to display what? It's going to display in HTML is going to be equal to please enter the last, please enter your last name. Please enter your last name. Okay, right, that is done. Okay, so if that is blank, I want this message to appear. Else if, now I'm going to check, else if, now I need to keep age also in mind. If the value in age, if age is less than 18, because here in the question paper, they told me only above 18 they're accepting. Over here, they said at least 18, which means 18, 19 to 18 and above. So less than 18, what do we display? We display a message in the same place that says what? That says, okay, so in that same paragraph, I'm going to enter a message that says, you have to be above 18 years to register. Okay. If there is no problem here, then else, what do? We need to start displaying the data. Else, so now I'm going to open parentheses and start displaying the data in the same paragraph. Okay, there is no problem. What do we do? Document. So initially, what will it be? It will say, initially it will be what? If you look over here, what does it say? Member details have been saved. Initially, it will say member details have been saved. Then I'm going to keep a space and I'm going to go to the next line. So I'm going to open the BR tag. And then in the next line, what am I going to type? First name. First name. Okay. Then colon. I'm going to keep a space. And then I'm going to concatenate that with the variable first name, because variable first name has now got the first name. Okay, concatenate with first name. Then I'm going to break it there. Okay, I'm going to have plus, and I'm going to have a break there. I'm going to go to the next line. In the next line, I'm going to say what? Last name, colon, and then I'm going to concatenate this with the last name variable, because the last name variable has the last name. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to again concatenate it with a break. Break, go to the next line. And the next line, what am I going to type? Age. Age, colon, and I'm going to concatenate this with age variable. Okay, then I'm going to concatenate this in the next line. So break, and then I'm going to say gender, colon, space, and I'm going to concatenate it with the variable gen. Okay, with that I have come to the end of my statement. Okay. Right, let's take all the text above, delete, delete, delete to bring it all up. Okay, let's save it and let's come and refresh our web page and let's see if it works. Okay, so I'm going to type my name, my last name, my age. Okay, let's put something less than 18, for example. Let's put 16 and let's click on save. So it says you have to be above 18 to register. Now I'm going to remove my last name and let me put as age. It says please enter your last name. So the validations are working. Now let's put everything perfectly and see what happens. It says member details have been saved, first name, last name, age, gender, everything has appeared without a problem. Okay, so with that we have come to the end of this JavaScript question as well. Okay, so we can put a comment over here. I'm just going to add a quick comment over here. Verifying the last name and age. Okay, all right, that is done. Okay, so with this we can save it, and we have to save it as new member finished, isn't it? We need to save it as new member finish.html. Okay, finished.html, and we click on save. So with that, we have also finished that. We have also finished this question, and then we move on to the final question, which is to do with search page. Okay. So let's go ahead and get this coding sorted out. Okay, for the search.html page. So let me drag and drop it over here. So over here in search.html page, if you look at the question over here, they have told us when the name of a tour guide is input and the search button clicked, an automated method must check whether the name exists in the 2D array. So if you come into your file over here, if you come into your program over here, you can see there is an array over here, and it's a 2D array. Okay, so you have rows and you have columns. Okay, so these are the rows, these are the columns. This is the column index number 0, column index number 1. Okay, this is row number Z, this is row number 0, row number 1, row number 2, and so on. Okay, so you can see there's an array over here and it has values inside it. The question paper says over here, check whether the name exists. So we need to see if the name exists, and you can see every row, column number 0 is where the name is held. Okay, column number 0 is where the name is held. Then it says display the name of the tour guide and their tour location above the list of names if they have been found, and display an error message above the list of names if the name of the tour guide was not found. Okay, so if you go through your HTML part, you can see the heading is there. Then there is an input field. That input field has an ID of search box. Then there is a button to submit, which is using on-click event and using the search event handler, which is the search function. And there are two paragraphs. One is for message and one is for guides. So I'm assuming over here we display the guide names, and over here we display the message. And the message I'm assuming will be either if the guide is found, his name appears in that area, or if he is not found over there, over in this paragraph, okay, error should appear. So over here, multiple functions are running. You don't need to get yourself confused with these. Okay, so these have already been done for you. You can see over here. the list names are being printed for you. That has already been done for you. You can see here the names in the array have been printed. That has already been done for you. The list has been returned for you. Now this is where you need to start your work. The function search is defined over here. In function search, there is a variable called found, which is equal to false right now. Variable row is equal to 0. Guide to find, variable guide to find is equal to document.getElement by ID search box. So whatever the user enters in this search box is equal to the variable guide to find. Okay, now they are running a while statement. Okay, so now this is where our work comes. Remember, we are going to display the name of the guide and their location at the top of the list if it is found, and if it is not found, we need to display error. Okay, so a while statement is being used while row is less than the guide array's length. Okay, so while right now row is equal to 0, so while the value of row is less than the guide array's length and found is equal to false. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check, let me remove this word from here. I'm going to check if if the value that the user has entered, which is equal to variable guide to find, if guide to find is equal to, now we're in the guide array, no, we're in the guide array, is equal to guide array, okay, and whatever row number we are right now on row, and remember, right now we are on the row is controlled by this variable, the column number, the names is in column number 0, okay, the names are in column number 0. Okay, so I'm going to put column number 0. Okay, so if the name entered by the user, which is held by guide to find variable, is equal to the guide array, the row number is defined by the variable row, so it will start at 0, then it will go to 1, then it will go to 2. I hope you know how the while statement works. Okay, so whatever row it is, and if the column number that it is on is equal to guide to find, then what do I want to do? Then I want to do the following. So then in this particular paragraph, okay, in this paragraph space, I want to display the guide's name, which is column number 0, and the place he works at, the tours, I mean, the place that he gives the tour, which is in column number 1. So look what I do over here. I say, if it is true, what I want to do is document dot get element by ID. I want to get that paragraph, and the name of that paragraph is messages. Isn't it message or messages? I'm not sure. Message called message dot in HTML will be equal to the guide array. I'm going to call this array, and whatever row it is on. So I don't need double quotes. I'm calling a variable. Okay, I'm calling the guide array. Row number will be defined by the row variable, and the column number. Remember, names are in column number 0. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I want the name and the so instead of saying, so what I'm going to do is I'm only going to mention the row number. So this entire thing will then appear. Okay, if you want, you can mention row, the column number, and then again the row and column number. You can do that, or you can only mention the row number. You can just say row. You can just say row over here. You can just say row. So when you just mention the row number, then this entire thing is going to appear. There are two things you can do. Let me show both. You can either say row and then say column 0, and then concatenate it again with guide array, again the row, and then say column 1 also. You want both of them joined. You can do it like that, or you can just say row. Then both of them are going to get printed. Now, I hope that makes sense. Okay, document. Okay, document. Now, once somebody has been found, once a tour guide has been found, I want the if statement to come to an end. I want it to break because it has found the person now. I don't want it to keep going. Okay, so I'm going to say break. Okay, the moment it finds a person, break it. Stop running. Okay, stop running the loop. Okay. Now, say for example, it never found anybody. Okay, it kept running, couldn't find a match. Okay, it couldn't find a match. Let me take this up. Sorry, let me take this up over here. Now you can see, guys, each time it's going to run. Okay, so what's going to happen? It's going to run. It's going to go into the while loop. Right now, row is equal to 0 as long as it's less than the guide array length, and found is equal to false. So if guide to find is equal to, so if whatever I type in the search box is equal to the guide array row column 0, then what's going to happen? It's going to print it in the message paragraph. Okay, and then it's going to break. Otherwise, what's going to happen? Otherwise, it's going to directly come and come down, and row is going to increase by 1. Okay, row plus plus means going to increase by 1. Then again, it's going to come as long as row is less than the guide array length. This is going to keep running. Now, say for example, it never found anybody. We'll say for example, it never found anybody. Then what I want to do is, in line with the while statement, let's say for example, it couldn't find anybody. In line with the while statement, then what I want to do is, in the message paragraph, say for example, it couldn't find anyone. Okay, the if statement could not be fulfilled, then in the message paragraph, I want to display the message value not found. Okay, hope this makes sense to you. Okay, so say for example, the if statement was never fulfilled, then break is never going to happen. It's going to just jump down and increase row by 1. It's going to go up again. Okay, so once it comes to the end of row, which is comes to the maximum of the row value is now equal to, for example, the guide array length. So it cannot go any further now. So then it's going to jump all the way down over here. In that instance, I want it to print the value. I want it to print the message value not found. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to come and refresh my web page here. Now let's put a correct name. Let's put Jill, for example. So when I put Jill over here, it gives me the name. Let me put a name that's not there. Let me just type something like this. And when I say search, it says value not. Okay. So I hope you have benefited from it. I hope you have understood. Maybe the first time you wouldn't understand it. You may have to watch the same thing 2-3 times to get it. Practice it on your own. Okay, it's not that easy, to be honest. Okay, you may have to practice a few times on your own and then just refer to this video to ensure what you have done is correct. Okay, so I really do hope you have benefited from this. Okay, all the very best. Do take care.